ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishnapreshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshitarine. जय श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. Okay, so let me share the screen. So we are reading the life of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and we read about his very many pastimes of childhood, how he was mischievous, and also the youth pastimes. So he was very, very, very scholarly personality. Superlative means because he was Krishna himself. And so he did some divine pastimes in his childhood as well. Like the thieves wanted to steal all his jewelry, but how the thieves just ended up into his house only, and then he was playing with a snake. So actually he was playing with Anantashesh or Lord Balaram, right? So people were getting really, really worried, but he was happily playing, and then afterwards he just let the snake go. So like that, many, many wonderful pastimes he displayed. So one time somebody, I don't remember all the names now, but they wanted to eat mango, and it was not mango season. But then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just put a stick into the ground, and a mango tree came up with lot of mangoes on it. So all these wonderful pastimes, godly pastimes he showed. So right now we are reading that when he went to Puri after taking sannyas, so since Nityananda Mahaprabhu broke his that sannyas rod or danda, that rod that sannyasis carry, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu got very angry upon him that this was my only possession. You broke that also. So it was just a pastime because Lord Chaitanya went alone, and then later on the whole party reached there. So there was some importance to that. So Lord Chaitanya, as soon as he saw the deities of Jagannath in Puri, he fell unconscious with ecstasy. So much elation was there that he actually fell unconscious. He was feeling so much separation, because now we remember that he came in the mood of Radharani, who is the greatest devotee of Krishna. So how Radharani feels in separation, that's how Mahaprabhu was feeling. So Krishna himself came in the mood of Radharani to taste the nectar of her devotion, right? How she feels. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, immediately he fell unconscious looking at the deity of Jagannath with intense separation. So then here was Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who was also a great scholar, and he was a Jnani basically. He was not a Bhakta. So he was very, very good in his scriptural studies and his grammar and everything. So he came up to the public, who were like astonished looking at Lord Chaitanya laying like that. What happened to this young man? But then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said that you leave it up to me. He took him home and then he carefully tested Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that is it really like he fell unconscious or what happened, or he's just throwing some feet, like some show bottle spiritualist. But he found out on the basis of shastric knowledge which he had in vastness, that Lord Chaitanya's feeling unconscious by seeing the deities was really very, very authentic. And then in the meantime, Gopinath Acharya came over there, who was I think who he was some in some relationship with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So then he took all the rest of the group, because they all went in the temple later, because they were like later on following Lord Chaitanya after he got mad at Nityanand Mahaprabhu. So let us read. If anybody is ready to read, they can raise their hand. So I will start and then we can take turns. Later, it was disclosed that Bhattacharya also came from Navadvip area. So Navadvip was the area in Bengal where Lord Chaitanya was born. And it was understood from him that Nilambar Chakravarti, the maternal grandfather of Lord Chaitanya, happened to be a class fellow of the father of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. In that sense, the young sannyasi Lord Chaitanya evoked paternal affection from Bhattacharya. Bhattacharya was the professor of many sannyasis in the order of Shankaracharya Sampradaya. And he himself also belonged to that cult. As such, the Bhattacharya desired that the young sannyasi, Lord Chaitanya, also hear from him about teachings of Vedanta. Okay, so Bhatt means a Brahmana, right? So these last names were indication of that he was a Brahmana. And he wanted Lord Chaitanya to hear from him, right? So this is like one scholarly person might feel like that people should hear from him. So he still didn't understand that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself. He was thinking that he's a devotee and his like his falling unconscious was authentic, but he didn't understand that he is Krishna himself. Those who are followers of the Shankara cult are generally known as Vedantists. This does not, however, mean that Vedanta is a monopoly study of Shankar Sampradaya. So they are disciples and in lineage of Shankaracharya. Vedanta is studied by all the bona fide Sampradayas, but they have their own interpretations. But those in Shankar Sampradaya are generally known to be ignorant of the knowledge of the Vedantist Vaishnavas. For this reason, the Bhakti Vedanta title was first offered to the author by the Vaishnavas. So Vedanta has different interpretation for different lineages. I mean, they interpret it differently, but Vedantist Vaishnavas actually they have knowledge about Krishna, but Shankar Sampradaya they do not conclude it to Krishna. Okay, they like take it to some like impersonal Brahman, right? That's their understanding. That's where their theory ends, that okay, everything is impersonal. Okay, everything is what they call as jagat mithya. Jagat mithya means what? That everything is unreal. But how can we say that our feelings are real? We are living in this world. This is temporary, but it's not unreal. That's what Prabhupada teaches us very realistically. So yeah, I'll just read two more paragraphs, then Sima Mataji can read. The Lord agreed to take lessons from Bhattacharya on the Vedanta. See, Lord is so humble. And they sat together in the temple of Lord Jagannath. The Bhattacharya went on speaking continually for 7 days, and the Lord heard him with all attention and did not interrupt. The Lord's silence raised some doubts in Bhattacharya's heart, and he asked the Lord how it was that he did not ask anything or comment on his explanations of Vedanta. The Lord posed himself before the Bhattacharya as a foolish student and pretended that he heard the Vedanta from him because the Bhattacharya felt that this was the duty of a sannyasi, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a sannyasi, and that's what Bhattacharya was thinking, that a sannyasi should hear Vedanta. So he should hear from me because I am a great scholar. But the Lord did not agree with his lectures. By this, the Lord indicated that the so-called Vedantists among the Shankar Sampradaya or any other Sampradaya who do not follow the instructions of Srila Vyasdev are mechanical students of Vedanta, because Vedanta is also compiled by Vyasdev. So if your interpretation is not matching to Vyasdev's interpretation, then you are a mechanical student of Vedanta. So that's what Lord Chaitanya established there. And how he will tell further, they are not fully aware of that great knowledge. The explanation of the Vedanta Sutra is given by the author himself in the text of Srimad Bhagavatam. One who has no knowledge of Bhagavatam will hardly be able to know what the Vedanta says. Yeah, Mataji, you can please go ahead.
The Bhattacharya, being a vastly learned man, could follow the Lord's sarcastic remarks on the popular Vedantist. He therefore asked him why he didn't ask about any point which he couldn't follow. The Bhattacharya could understand the purpose of his dead silence for the days he heard him. This showed clearly that the Lord had something else in mind. Thus, the Bhattacharya requested him to disclose his mind. Upon this, the Lord spoke as follows: My dear sir, I can understand the meaning of sutras like Janmadi Asyayata, Shastra Yonitvat, and Athato Brahmo Jignasa of the Vedanta Sutra. But when you explain them in your own way, it becomes difficult for me to follow them. The purpose of the sutra is already explained in them, but your explanations are covering them with something else. You do not purposely take the direct meaning of the sutras, but indirectly give your own interpretations. The Lord thus attacked all Vedantists who interpret the Vedanta Sutra fashionably according to their limited power of thinking to serve their own purpose. Such indirect interpretation of the authentic literatures like the Vedanta Sutras are hereby condemned by the Lord.
Just one thing, that here, see, Lord is saying that I can understand the meanings of these sutras, but when you explain, then it becomes difficult for me to follow them. That means that explanations are covered with something else. So in Bhagavad-gītā, we all know that Krishna has said, Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. Means he has just directly instructed that just leave, abandon all sorts of religions or duties that you think are important and just surrender unto me. This is final instruction of Krishna. Also, he says that mattah parataram nanyat, nobody is greater than me. So many times he has established himself as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But what is the reason that even the Hindu Indians do not follow Krishna consciousness? I'm not saying only ISKCON, but they do not even consider Krishna as Supreme Personality of Godhead. So why? Because people interpret the meanings and they cover it up. So these Shankar followers, they say that when Krishna says Sarvadharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam, that means Krishna is saying that surrender unto the Atma within me. But Krishna does not have different body and different Atma. His Atma and body is just one because he is spiritual personality. So I'm just making all these side points so that we do understand that how the people interpret the meanings. Okay, sorry, Mataji, let's go ahead.
The Lord thus attacked all Vedantists who interpret the Vedanta Sutra fashionably according to their limited power of thinking to serve their own purpose. Such indirect interpretations of the authentic literatures like the Vedanta Sutra are hereby condemned by the Lord. The Lord continued, Srila Vyasadeva has summarized the direct meanings of the mantras in the Upanishad in the Vedanta Sutra. Unfortunately, you do not take their direct meaning. you indirectly interpret them in a different way.
Hmm.
The authority of the Vedas is unchallengeable and stands without any question of doubt, and whatever is stated in the Vedas must be accepted completely. Otherwise, one challenges the authority of Vedas. The conch shell and cow dung are bone and stool of two living beings. But because they have been recommended by the Vedas as pure, people accept them as such because of the authority of the Vedas. The
Yes.
idea is that one cannot set his imperfect reason above the authority of Vedas. The
Hmm.
orders of the Vedas must be obeyed as they stand, without any mundane reasoning. The so called followers of the Vedic injunctions make their own interpretations of the Vedic injunctions, and thus they establish different parties and sects of the Vedic religion. Lord Buddha directly denied the authority of Vedas and he established his own religion. Only for this reason, the Buddhist religion was not accepted by the strict followers of the Vedas. But those who are so called followers of the Vedas are more harmful than the Buddhists. The Buddhists
Hmm.
have the courage to deny the Vedas directly, but the so called followers of the Vedas have no courage to deny the Veda. Although indirectly they disobey all the injunctions of the Vedas, Lord Chaitanya condemned this.
Yeah, so for this, a comment that that time when Lord Buddha came, that time people were sacrificing animals in yagnas to a large extent, very, very in a high number. So animals were suffering like anything. So Buddha came to reject the Vedas because Vedas were suggesting to do karma kanda sacrifice to get something, right? And that's how Buddha rejected the Vedas and formed his own ahimsa religion, that is Buddhism, right? So this is a reason behind this. But Prabhupada is saying that Buddhists are fine, at least they directly rejected the Vedas. But those people who claim to be Vedic but don't follow the Veda, they are more harmful, right? So let's move on.
The examples given by the Lord of the conch shell and the cow dungs are very much appropriate in this connection. If one argues that since cow dung is pure, the stool of a learned Brahmana is still more pure, his argument will not be accepted. Cow dung is accepted, and the stool of a highly posted Brahmana is rejected. The Lord continued. The Vedic injunctions are self authorized, and if some mundane creature adjusts the interpretation of the Vedas, he defies their authority. It is foolish to think of oneself as more intelligent than Srila Vyasadeva. He has already expressed himself in his sutras, and there is no need of help from personalities of lesser importance. His work, the Vedanta Sutra, is as dazzling as the midday sun. And when someone tries to give his own interpretations on the self effulgent, sun like Vedanta Sutra, he attempts to cover the sun with the cloud of his imagination. The Vedas and Puranas are one and the same in purpose. They ascertain the absolute truth, which is greater than everything else. The absolute truth is ultimately realized as the absolute personality of Godhead with absolute controlling power. As such, the absolute personality of Godhead must be completely full of opulence, strength, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation. Yet the transcendental personality of Godhead is astonishingly ascertained as impersonal.
Mm.
The impersonal description of the absolute truth in the Vedas is given to nullify the mundane conception of the absolute whole. Personal features of the Lord are completely different from all kinds of mundane features. The living entities are all individual persons, and they are all parts and parcels of the supreme whole. If the parts and parcels are individual persons, the source of their emanation must not be impersonal.
Mm.
He is the supreme person amongst all the relative persons. The
Okay.
Vedas inform us that from him, from Brahma, everything emanates, and on him everything rests. And after annihilation, everything merges in him only. Therefore, he is the ultimate dative, causative, and accommodating cause of all causes, and these causes cannot be attributed to an impersonal object. The Vedas inform us that
Mm.
he alone become many, and when he so desires, he glances over material nature. Before he glances over material nature, the there was no material cosmic creation. Therefore, his glance is not material. Material mind or senses were unborn when the Lord glanced over material nature. Thus, evidence in the Vedas proves that, beyond a doubt, the Lord has transcendental eyes and a transcendental mind. They are not material. His impersonality, therefore, is a negation of his materiality, but not a denial of his transcendental personality.
Yeah, so here Prabhupada is establishing from what Lord Chaitanya told that Lord is a person. That is very, very clear, because we are part and parcels of the Lord, and we have a form. So he has a form. These are the logics he's giving, and also he's saying that this material world cannot have any life until the Lord enters into it. Nothing can have life until the soul and super soul enters into it, right? So therefore Lord is not material. Even like it is said that all the universes are coming out from the pores of Lord Vishnu. So how can he be impersonal, right? So that is a thing for us to think and realize. So we should not get bewildered now on. If somebody says that this nature is God, then we can argue with him that if nature is God, how can we have a personal relationship with God? God is like a friend to us. So this nature is not God. This nature is the God's creation, is God's creation, right? And this nature works under God's direction. So yeah. So Rutul Prabhu, you had your hand raised. Do you want to read?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah.
Brahman ultimately refers to the personality of Godhead. Impersonal Brahman realization is just negative conception of the mundane creations. Paramatma is the localized aspect of Brahman within all kinds of material bodies. Ultimately, the supreme Brahman realization is the realization of the personality of Godhead according to all evidence of the revealed scriptures. He is the ultimate source of Vishnu Tattva. The Puranas are also supplementary to the Vedas. The Vedic mantras are too difficult for an ordinary man. Women, Sudras, and so-called twice-born higher castes are unable to penetrate into the sense of the Vedas, and thus the Mahabharatas and the Puranas are made easy to explain the truths of the Vedas. In his prayers before the boy Sri
Brahma.
Krishna, Sri Krishna Brahma said that there is no limit to the fortune of the residents of Brajabhumi headed by Sri Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mai, because the eternal absolute truth has become their intimate relative. The Vedic mantra maintains that the absolute truth has no legs, no hands, and yet goes faster than all and accepts everything that is offered to him in devotion. The later statements definitely suggest the personal feature of the Lord, although his hands and legs are distinguished from mundane hands and legs or other senses.
Mm.
Brahman, therefore, is never impersonal, but when such mantras are indirectly interpreted, it is wrongly thought that the absolute truth is impersonal. The absolute truth, personality of Godhead, is full of all opulences, and therefore he has transcendental form of full existence, knowledge, and bliss. How then can one establish that the absolute truth is impersonal? Brahman, being full of opulences, is understood to have manifold energies, and all these energies are classified under three headings under the authority of Vishnu Puran, which says that transcendental energies of Lord Vishnu are primarily three. His spiritual energy and the energy of living entities are classified as superior energy, whereas the material energy is an inferior one, which is sprouted out of ignorance. The energy of the living entities is technically called Kshetragna energy. This Kshetragna Shakti, although equal in quality with the Lord, becomes overpowered by material energy out of ignorance and thus suffers all sorts of material miseries. In other words, the living entities are located in the marginal energy between the superior spiritual and inferior energy. And in proportion to the living being contact with either material or spiritual energies, the living entity is situated in proportionately higher and lower levels of existence.
Yeah, here I just wanted to say that uh, one is Antaranga Shakti, means internal energy, which is like bliss potency of Krishna, that is Radharani. And one is Bahiranga Shakti, which is like Maya Devi, right? So Antaranga means internal potency, Bahiranga means external potency of Krishna. And what is in the middle? That is marginal potency. So Jivatmas like us come in marginal potency. So this is also called as Tatastha Shakti. Antaranga Shakti, Bahiranga Shakti, and Tatastha Shakti. So Tata means, you all know, who know Hindi, that the seashore, there is just a fine line between water and the sand, that is called as Tata. So Tata means what? Where the Tata or that line can either go toward water side or it can go toward the side. Okay, it is never defined. So similarly, us, the living beings, are tatastha Shakti, means marginal. So sometimes we remain in internal energy, like when we go to the temple, when we are chanting together, or like reading like this, or hearing a lecture. So we are thinking about those points which are being spoken. So we are into internal energy, we are thinking about Krishna. But there are times when we are into external energy, we completely forget Krishna, right? And we get absorbed in something else. So that is the position of jivas. Either they be in internal energy or they be in external energy, sometimes more into this, more into that. So that's what it is being said. The living entity is situated in proportionately higher and lower levels of existence according to proportion of their contact with either material or spiritual energies. So that's very important to understand. Yes, Prabhu, please continue.
The Lord is beyond the inferior and marginal energies, as above mentioned, and his spiritual energy is manifested in three different phases as eternal existence, eternal bliss, and eternal bliss. As far as the eternal existence is concerned, it is conducted by the Sandhini potency.
Sat,
Similar,
sat feature.
Similarly, bliss and knowledge are conducted by Haladini and
Samvit.
Samvit
Yeah, so
potency.
Chit and Ananda. Sat, Chit, Ananda. So
Uh,
Sat is Sandhini, Chit is Samvit, and Ananda is Ladini potency.
As the supreme energetic Lord, he is the supreme controller of the spiritual, marginal, and material energies. And all these different types of energies are connected with the Lord in eternal devotional service. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is thus enjoying in his transcendental eternal form. It is not astounding that one dares to call the Supreme Lord non-energetic. The Lord is the controller of all energies, and the living entities are parts and parcels of one of the energies. Therefore, there is a gulf of difference between the Lord and the living entities. How then can one say that the Lord and the living entities are one and the same? In the Bhagavad-gītā also the living entities are described as belonging to the superior energy of the Lord. According to the principles of intimate correlation between the energy and the energetic, both of them are non-different also. Therefore, the Lord and the living entities are non-different as the energy and energetic. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and ego are all inferior energies of the Lord, but the living entities are different from all as superior energy. This is the version of Bhagavad-gītā 7.45.
Yeah, just one more comment here. That here Prabhupada is saying in the earlier paragraph that there is a gulf of difference between the Lord and living entities, because like these Mayavadi or impersonalist people, they say that we all are God and we are right now covered with Maya. So as soon as this covering of Maya will be gone, we all will become God. And they think the same about Krishna also, that Krishna took a body and he came, but as soon as Maya was cleared off, he became God, and that's how he left to his abode or something. I am not 100% sure what is their logic, but they think that everyone is God. So that's what Prabhupada is establishing here, that there is a gulf of difference between Lord and the living entities, because Lord has multifold energies and he is supremely powerful. All energies are his subordinates. They are at one command of the Lord. He doesn't have to say anything. He just by thinking his energies start working. And we all living entities belong to one of Lord's energies, right? So how can we be equal to him, right? So that's why Prabhupada says that he is Vibhu and we are Anu. Vibhu means great, big, and Anu means very little, minute. So that brings us humility as well. So we should keep that in mind, because what the Mayavadi say is not correct. That we can never become equal to God. God is God. Yes. Yeah, maybe
The,
last two, three paragraphs, and then we will finish. Yeah.
the transcendental form of the Lord is eternally existent and full of transcendental bliss. How then can such a form be product of the material mode of goodness? Anyone, therefore, who does not believe in the form of the Lord is certainly faithless demon, and as such is untouchable. A non to be seen persona non grata fit to be punished by the lunatic king.
Prabhupada's language is like, he's so annoyed at these people.
He is very strong about this, I think.
Yes.
The Buddhists are called atheists because they have no respect to the Vedas. But those who defy the Vedic conclusions, as above mentioned, under the presence of being followers,
Pretense of. Hmm.
pretends of being followers of the Vedas are verily more dangerous than
Hmm.
Buddhists.
Yes.
Sri Vyasadeva very kindly compiled the Vedic knowledge in his Vedanta Sutras, but if one hears the commentation of the Mayavada school as represented by Sankara Sampradaya, certainly he will be misled on the path of spiritual realization.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
theory of
If you want to continue a little bit, that's fine.
the theory of emanations is the beginning subject of the Vedanta Sutra. All the cosmic manifestations are emanations from the Absolute Personality of Godhead by His inconceivable different energies. The example of the touchstone is applicable to the theory of emanation. The touchstone can convert an unlimited quantity of iron into gold, and still the touchstone remains as it is. Similarly, the Supreme Lord can produce all manifested worlds by his inconceivable energies, and yet he is full and unchanged. He is Purna, and although an unlimited number of Puranas emanate from him, he is still Purna.
Yeah. So from him, Lord Balram comes, these Chaturvyuhas come, Pradyumna, Anuruddha, Sankarshan, and one more. So, and from them many more come, and we are also coming. So these like whole systems are being produced, but Lord doesn't diminish. He doesn't get older, that, oh, I have produced so much, so I am now old. Nothing. It never happens. Even though he will keep expanding himself, he still remains complete in himself. Okay, so let's see if there is any discussion. Otherwise, we will stop here.
Mataji, as we have read that Lord Nityananda broke the renunciation strict of the Lord Chaitanya.
Hmm.
So when we are reading this, I just recall when I see that Keshava Swami Prabhu videos, he used to carry that big stick with him.
Hmm.
So what is the significance of this stick, which generally carried by sannyasis?
Yeah, it is called as three danda. It has three small, small pieces of wooden blocks into it. Um, so they remind of Satya, Ahimsa, and Shama, something like that. So these three things. So therefore, these dandas are being carried by these sannyasis to constantly remind them of their purpose and behave accordingly.
Okay, Mataji, thank you. And one more question. Mataji, if you can explain the meaning of absolute personality of Godhead.
Absolute means which is not relative. Relativity means what? It changes as per the time and circumstances. Absolute means which never changes, no matter what. So that's why Krishna's personality is absolute. It never diminishes, it never changes. His nature never changes. Our natures are how they are changing as per the circumstances. If we feel happy, we talk happily. If we are annoyed, then we are very angry. So Krishna is never like that. He's always the same loving personality of Godhead. Is absolute.
Okay, Mataji, thank you.
Mhm. That's why we are supposed to take his shelter, because if we take a wobbly shelter, then it's gonna end someday or change someday, then we will also fall with that shelter. But if we take shelter in Krishna, who is absolute, who is unchangeable, this is a strong shelter, right? That's why.
Yes, Mataji, sometimes I feels like if I chant like 6 or 7 rounds of mala for 2 or 3 days, I feel proud like I am doing from last continuous days, and
Mm.
next day it always happens like I wake up late, and for 1 week or 2 weeks I go down.
Yes, Mataji. But you are trying that Krishna sees and he gives strength. So we can pray also that Krishna, please create time for me in the morning. Please give me strength, because he is the master of material energy also. So he can definitely create time for us. So if we pray, it will happen, Mataji. And you have a young, very little child, so don't worry. Both are little, both daughters are. Your efforts are very, very important, and they are more heartfelt for Krishna. So,
Mataji, and we have observed a lot. Like whenever, like yesterday, we were planning not to come to the ISKCON. As
mhm.
somehow Hasini was telling me, I want to go, I want to know, and that my Prabhu was not feeling well. Somehow it happened. Because she was pressurizing us, we came, and suddenly somebody came in the temple and asked us for the seva in the kitchen, and it always happen every time it happens like we are not plan we generally not plan, and some always it happens like we are doing some seva because of
Prabhu,
somebody is
she is
saying us.
very
So
merciful. He is
uh,
so merciful, very merciful. And
yes,
there,
Mataji.
yeah, same happens with us as well, Mataji. We are going for now 15 years, but same realization always comes, that it's
Uh,
so happy there and merciful. But anyways, we are going to get ab- abruptly ended in less than a minute.
yes,